can hear me, right? Okay, sorry. So let's try to. Can you like let everybody in?
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm
close this.
on it.
Okay. Changing plans because we said we're going to do Q&A and there will be time for Q&A, but I just think there's this one thing that every swim parent, generally every parent should have in their toolbox. And I discovered that thing about 4 years ago, and it just completely changed my life. And the beauty of that is it is a little habit that takes like 2 or 3 minutes to do. And it creates a little bit extra motivation, a little bit extra happiness, a little more focus, a little more teamwork. And if you use it inside of a family, it creates absolutely transforming like communication inside of the family. And I used to do lots of keynotes with like corporates where they paid a lot, shit ton of money for me to come and speak for an hour. But I used to have 5 topics. Now I have one, this one. It's called the gap versus gain thinking. Okay. And I do that because it's the one where the people have the biggest aha moment and it's the one that is the easiest to implement. Because if it's not easy to implement, like we're not going to do it. I get it, and I get it, right? I know that meditating for 30 minutes a day would be good. It would be good to get up in the morning, have a morning routine, have an evening routine. Guess what? Life gets busy. And if it's like too much, if it requires too much time and stuff, we're not just not going to follow through, right? And so this one is one that you can integrate, and I'll give you ideas how to do that at dinner table, in the car, before going to bed, whatever, with your children, with your husband, with your wife, and it creates an amazing vibe, and hopefully make your family just a little bit. I don't want to say like better, just like a little happier. Okay, and I'll cover that. It's not going to take long, and then we'll open up for questions. Okay, and you can ask us any question that you want. Cool, good game plan. All right, can you let the people in?
I am.
All right. So gap versus gain thinking. Now look, check this out. Um, this works exceptionally well for people who have goals. Okay, now we would call those people high achievers. Okay. Now my imagination is, my hallucination is that because your kids are in competitive swimming, they're in competitive swimming for a reason. Okay, and they're probably quite ambitious. And the question is, where do they have that ambition from? Right? So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So one of you, right, your husband, your wife, probably one of you or both of you are a high achiever as well, right? Which is totally cool. And as a high achiever, you have amazing qualities. You really do. Okay. You can be very motivated. You can motivate others. You have resilience. When things don't go according to plan, you get back up. You have grit, right? You have all these positive character traits that other people wish they would have, but there's one secret weakness. I call it a secret weakness. And it's the thinking, I'll be happy when. And then every one of you, if you have goals in your life, right? And if you are high achieving in one area of your life, we'll all have these conditions that I'll be happy when I have another child, when I did the world travel, when I get the promotion, when I have the bigger house, when the children are out of the house, whatever it is, we all have these I'll be happy when, right? And the problem with that is that when we're chasing happiness, we're chasing happiness. What does that mean per definition? If we're chasing happiness, then right now, either we're not happy or not as happy as we want to be. And that is a freaking problem because if we do not wake up to that, we're literally going to chase that shit to the grave. And then what's going to happen is, some people have this awakening where like somebody that's important to them, or maybe themselves, they almost die or they do die, right? And they go, fuck, right? They get diagnosed with cancer or something terrible like that. And they're, fuck, like 1 year maybe, right? But we don't need to let it get there because happiness is a choice. Happiness is an inside job and it happens now. It is a choice. It really is. Okay. And so I'll tell you, like, give you an example with Michael Phelps a little later on. Okay. But that's that, like, the fundamental premise that there's so many great qualities in a high achiever. They're go-getters, they do it. But the secret weaknesses is the thinking that I'll be happy when, which means per definition, they're not as happy as they want to be right now. Okay. Okay. So here's how this works. It's called gap versus gain thinking. So we got, where did you see that? Gap thinking on the left. This is us in the middle. And then we have gain thinking on the right. Okay? So in gap thinking, here's how this starts. So we have a starting point. Yeah, let's just call it start. This could be the starting point for any kind of project. So that could be a swimming season. It could be for you, it could be like a business year, right? It could be a business day. It could be a training. It could be a big project like becoming a dad or a mom or whatever, right? So it's a starting point to some kind of project. Okay. And then up here, we have what we call an ideal. So what that is like if or when that project is finished, what does this look like ideally? Okay. And in a perfect world, I just put a V for visualize that ideal. Now, what is visualization? We use it a lot with our swimmers. Yeah. What does visualize mean? It means that we can see the ideal of whatever project that is when it's finished. What does it ideally look like? Okay. And we want to be able to see that in our head with a picture or even a video. Okay. And when you think about visualization, let's do that real quick. It's not the topic of today's of this framework, but what is the biggest difference, or one of the biggest differences between human beings and animals? Do animals have emotions? Right? See you guys nodding, right? A dog can be happy, sad, angry, whatever, right? For sure. Can animals have thoughts? Right? For sure. Like, I'll give you an example, right? So say I'm going to use Gabriel, right? Because I know him the best of all you guys here. So Gabriel and I were in like a room, physical room together, like you were on cam. And there's a dog coming in that doesn't know us. And Gabriel has this tiny little bone with like basically no meat on it. And I get big ass bone with a lot of meat on it. Dog will think, hey, I'll go to Clarasec because he's got that big ass bone, right? So they have thoughts. They're just not as complex as human thoughts. Make sense? Okay. But as far as we're aware, what animals don't have, and again, as far as we're aware, we're the only species, there might be aliens and all that, I can appreciate that, but as far as we're aware, we're the only species that can visualize things in our head that haven't physically happened yet. And so when you think about it, like literally have a look around in your room, like physically look around in your room and notice, have a look, don't look at me, I'm not that pretty. Look around and notice that everything that is not a plant, we human beings, we freaking created it. This pen, it started as an idea, this shirt, this whiteboard, this, the phone, right? The microphone, the screen. It started as an idea, as something spiritual, an idea, and we human beings have the ability to move it into actual physical form. That is how creation works. Right? And there's lots of athletes, they run a world record or whatever, and the interviewer goes, hey, were you surprised you ran that fast? Guess what they said? No. I've seen it 1,000 times in my head. That is how creation works. We human beings have the gift, the power to think of something that doesn't exist in the 3D world. And with time and some teamwork with other people, we move it into actual physical form. Elon Musk, love him or hate him, but many years ago, he had an idea to create Tesla. Now, it's easy to believe in Tesla when you have one in your garage, but that was just an idea. And a couple of years later, people have Teslas in their garage. That is how creation works. Okay, that's why, as I said, not the topic of today, but that is why we use visualization. Okay, so ideally, we want to see whether that is a how your bank account looks like, whether it's how your relationship to your child, your wife, your husband looks like, your work life, whatever, like your body, whatever it is, you want to see what it is. And it's one of the most powerful skills for human beings. And I tell you what, as kids, we all had it and it was super alive and super well. And then we go to school, we get dialed down. We're all told to do this, 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 and we follow processes, and that thing kind of goes away. It doesn't mean that it's not there, it's just kind of dormant. Okay? So, visualization. So, we want to see that ideal in our head before it has happened. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We got the starting point and we get going, right? After a day, a week, a month, however long the project is, we're no longer at the starting point, but also we're not at the ideal yet. We're somewhere in between, and we're going to call this achieved. Okay? We're somewhere in between. And here is what we do. We look at what we have achieved, what our reality is, what we observe, and in our head, we compare that against what the ideal is, what we thought it should be, what we expected it to be, what it is maybe is for others, and we measure all the things that are missing. We measure the gap. Okay, and when we measure the gap, that's not even a problem. The problem is the emotion that comes from that is emotion of frustration, disappointment, low confidence, impatience, and unfortunately, it could go all the way to depression. Now, don't believe me. Don't just believe. What is this 37-year-old kid talking about? Don't believe me. Let's use frustration. Connect with a situation a moment in your life when you felt frustrated. Okay? So that could have been today, could have been last week, last month, 10 years ago. I don't care. But I know that every one of you has felt frustration in the past. If not, you got to check in with yourself because you're not honest. So pick a situation and really connect with that situation when you felt frustrated last time. I'll give you 5 seconds. And now tell me if I'm wrong. What happened was you looked at the situation, what was going on, and in your head, you compared it against what you thought it should be, what you expected it to be, and poof, you were frustrated. Right? And so measuring the gap, that is just a mental. Nobody cares. It's inside of you. The trouble is how this manifests is thought, emotion, action. When that is the emotion, when you're in a frustrated state, disappointed, when you don't have a lot of confidence, you're impatient, it could go all the way to depressed. Hopefully not, but it could, right? I've had a case. Do you think that you're the best version of yourself? Do you think you're the best team player? Do people want to be around you when you're in that state? Probably not. There is a very important, those emotions play a very important part in our lives. And we get to that in a second. They do. God, the creator, all whoever you believe in, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. But he or she or it gave us these emotions for a very particular reason. And we're going to come back to that because they are very important. Right? But if you're hanging around your kids and stuff and you're in that kind of state, right? Probably not the best that you can be. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for now. Okay. Now, actually, let's not cover it. Now we're going to cover it later. Okay. So now let's move over to game thinking. Okay. In game thinking, the cool thing is almost everything is the same. So we got a starting point. Right? Say, we got an ideal up here. We still visualize that thing. Okay. Now we're not adjusting the ideal. We're not saying, oh, I'm going to go for something less or whatever. No. The ideal is just the same. The goal, whatever the vision, it stays the same. Right? By the way, Michael Jordan, I don't know if you know his saying, but I think it's very, very good. And a lot of you guys are very successful in business and as parents and everything, right? We appreciate you. It's like he always said, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. Why should your dream scare you? Because if you already know how to get there, if you're selling cars and you're selling 10 cars a month, if you say, oh, I'm going to sell 11 next month, that's not scary. You just do more of what you're doing and you get there. Right? But if you put a goal that is scary, it's scary because you don't know how to actually get there. And I really believe as like, you know, the more I get into the topic, I really think the biggest difference between a leader and a follower is a follower will say they'll be here and they'll say, I want to go here, but they need all the steps that they need to take to exactly kind of, they need to see, okay, if I do that, then this and this, and they need to see the entire way. And when they do, when all the stars align and everything seems certain, then they'll start moving. And the leader will say, okay, I'm here. This is where I want to go. And they'll be okay by taking the next step and being okay with that void, knowing that the next step will reveal itself. And that's why they move a lot sooner than followers. And people admire them for the vision and everything. And they have a vision, but they don't know how to get there. They just take step by step by step. It's that ability to like deal with the uncertainty of how it's going to unfold.
And they try out things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's work hard.
Okay. So we got to start. We got an ideal. And then we're going to get going, right? So same thing. We're no longer at the starting point. We're not at the ideal. We're somewhere in between. Okay. Now, if we're measuring over here, we're looking at where we are. We compare it against where we thought we should be, what we expected to be. We measure the gap. Over here, we look at what we have achieved, and it's called gain thinking. So what do we compare it against? It's only one other option. Right? We look at what we are, where we are, and we compare it against where we are coming from. And here's a beautiful thing. Again, this is just a mental thing. This is just a focus thing. But like when you think about people who have goals in their life, what is it that's the most exciting about having goals? Having the goals isn't the most exciting. Reaching the goal isn't the most exciting. What's the most important is the development and the growth of that person. That is what's most exciting to most people because it's not the medal. Ask any interview I've ever seen about swimmers who won an Olympic gold medals. It was not about the gold medal. They could care less about the gold medal. It's about who they have become because of it. It's the growth, right? And like in the beginning stages, when we're young, it's a lot about like, yeah, performance, like, you know, and sports and then school grades maybe, and like being like, you know, the super cool girl and guy, like with everybody else. And then later it's, you know, you go in university and then that's done. You want to make a lot of money. And then at some point, right, maybe it's about family. And then later it becomes about giving back to other people. But we want to grow. We want to give back more. We want to be more in life. That's the exciting part of having goals. It's not accomplishing the goals. It's who you become in the process. And when you start to put your attention on how you're growing, right? What's going to happen is the emotional expression of that is going to be one of happiness, joy, gratitude, really big one. Okay? Patience, teamwork, all that good stuff. Now, the question is, when you're feeling genuinely happy and joyful and like you're grateful for where you are and what's happening in your life and all that, you're patient and, you know, are you going to be the best version of yourself when you're hanging out with other people? Likely. Do people want to be around you? What do you think you're going to attract when you're like genuinely like spreading happiness and joy? That's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. That's just like, you know, whether you believe in it or not, like nobody cares. It just is. You know, whether babies believe in gravity or not, doesn't matter. They're still going to fall on their ass. It's just what it is. And that is a vibration. The energy is a vibration. The emotion that you carry is a vibration. You're going to attract more frustrating situations or frustrated people And here you're going to do the opposite. All right. And the only difference is it's a mental thing of what you focus on. Okay. And I'll tell you a story in a second, but let's cover this real quick. So I'm not going to ask, I'm just going to like ask you the question and then give you some time to like think about it. But like, so why did the creator or God or whoever, why did they give us those emotions? Those like kind of negative. I don't want to label them as negative, but you know what I mean. It's like these like hard, not good, I'm not feeling good kind of emotions. What is they have one particular reason and it's a very powerful one. What is it? Think about it for a second. Okay. Those emotions, tell you a story. In my third year at the University of Virginia, the again, I was in the best shape of my life. Times of training proved it, and I was supposed to score a lot of points for the University of Virginia. And then the big race came, put on my suit. Like even the warm-up was fantastic, right? Times were good, the pacing was on, like everything was on top, was pointing in the right direction. Put on my suit, I went to prelims of NCAAs, and I just bombed it. Got so nervous, and I bombed it. And that has been happening for 3 years in a row. My parents were there, and I felt like I disappointed my parents who always supported and believed in me, my coaches, my teammates, and also myself. And I'm like 190 tall, 90 kilos heavy. I'm a big dude. And I started crying, not a good look. And with my head down, right, I walk in the locker room. And my coach saw it. This is a little Italian dude. And Italian American. And he followed me and he sat down on the floor with me, put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, David, you cannot always control what happens to you, but use the disappointment that you have right now to make a decision that this will never, ever happen to you again. Now, it didn't make me feel better in the moment, but his words rang so true that I decided, even though I didn't know how, but I decided that I'm going to do everything that I can so this doesn't happen to me again. Because he said, you have another year at the University of Virginia, and there's the Olympics next year, right? And then coincidentally or not, who knows, 3 weeks later, University of Virginia hired the sports psychologist of Michael Phelps. Guess who was the first person in his office? He just arrived. The couch wasn't even there. It was like on the wall. He was sitting on the floor. He starts coaching me, and my life changes. And I made the Olympic team. I had the second fastest time in all of America, and NCAAs is a good competition. Second fastest time. It was rocking. So those emotions tell us what we need to change, right? Because if we just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, we keep getting those emotions over and over again because we're not changing it. So when we experience those, we have to listen. They tell us, what do you need to change? So you don't experience the same thing again, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what I did. So please don't do it. I know you have in areas of your life. We all have. It's okay. But when you experience that it's okay to have them, right? You don't want to not have them. But just know that we human beings are made we can tolerate these, and they tell us something very important, but we're not made to constantly be in gap thinking. It's like a motor, an engine, right? It's like a car is made to like rev it up, like Yule does it all the time on the autobahn, right? He used to get a nice Mercedes and stuff. It's okay. The engine is made for that. But when you go, it'll blow up. The body, our human body is made for like short-term stress. You can pull all-nighters, you can party all night, you can work all night, you can jump out of an airplane, you can go into freezing cold water, right? You can go in the sauna and like you can do all that stuff. It's made for short-term stress, but if you experience something like toxic stress, it will kill your mind, it'll kill your body, it'll kill your soul. Right? So for most of the time, the human beings are designed to hang out in here in those kind of emotions. And then when they do happen, we invite them, but it's okay to feel them, but then we got to take action from it. We got to change the way we do things. Okay. And that's why this model, I like this so much better, because there's a model, the glass is half empty, the glass is half full. But that is too binary. Like, look, it's a nice model, but life isn't that easy. I mean, life is more complicated than that, obviously. But like when you think about it in sales, the most important thing that I was always taught, and I believe it's true, is like how much do you believe it? Do you believe in your product or in your service? But it's the question is not do you believe in your service or not? The question is how much do you believe in it? Because there's like shades of gray. There's like anything between 0 and 1. It's not a 1 or a 0. Right? And so this model is actually very fluid. It's okay to have those, but they inform you what you need to change. And most of the time, we actually want to hang out here because life is going to just be more amazing. And we're here also confidence is going to be better. It's easier to feel good about ourselves and not be so freaking blocked, especially if you have a teenager, you know what it is, low confidence and like, right? You know it. I knew it, what it was like.
Maybe one thing to add about this. Everybody, even us, we know, so obviously we know this concept, right? We want to be here. Or we want to be here most of the time, but it's impossible to be here all the time. At some point, frustration, it just is there. And that's kind of where you need to remind yourself, hey, you know what? Let's go over here, think about this, and then kind of turn that around, right? I guess that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, I'll tell you in a second how to turn it around. This is like it is more like this concept is like how you look at the world, and it's not like this, but if you train like if your kid trains all year and it just absolutely bombs it at the most important race, of course they're gonna have that. But this is more like for how you go through life, because oftentimes it's these little interactions during the day. A coworker doesn't do what he said he was going to do. They're too late. They give you feedback that you don't like, whatever. It's these little things that chip away at your energy, and they chip and they chip and they chip, right? But it's not worth it. See what I'm saying? And then it's just like goes and chips and chips and chips and chips. There again, like it's also not goal setting. It's just how you look at life. It's just how you look at life. And especially those everyday interactions and stuff, they're so freaking important because they happen every day, multiple times a day. This is where you can make the biggest difference, right? It's also like the problem with people who are half empty, they're like forever pessimists. They never see any opportunity. For people who are always glass half full, they're like living in freaking la la land. Like they're utopian. They never get shit done. They sit in a mountain, smoke weed, right? And they talk about spirituality and all that stuff. Like they never get anything done. But this allows us to be both. Again, I'll give you an example from parenting. Like I used to coach adults, hard work. Oh God. So that's what we're coaching the kids now. So I had a woman. I don't know there's differences between man and woman and stuff, but like try to take it out. The big picture was this. Like she had 2 kids, 6 and 4. And she would always say how the kids were fighting, how they weren't eating what they're supposed to eat, how she didn't have enough time to get her work done, how she had to rush to the hospital in the middle of the night, right? Does that mean that the beautiful things with her kids and her family did not happen? No. She was just focused on everything that she saw that was not like it was on social media, how it was for her girlfriends, what she thought it was going to be, and she was constantly measuring all the gaps. And that put her in a very difficult situation. And when I spoke to her, that was about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was scared because we were pregnant. And I was literally like doubting myself. I got scared because it was not a good story. Okay. And then I had a male, thankfully, male client, same thing, 5 and 4, very close together. And he was telling me how they would like go out in the forest and play hide and seek. And then when they were tired, sometimes they would fall asleep on his chest, and how they're learning how to ski and stuff, right? Now, does not mean that he always had time for himself to read all the books that he wanted. Does it mean that they never fought and always ate what they were supposed to? Does it mean he never had to go to the hospital? No, but he was focused on all the gains that his kids made and they made as a family, and he was a freaking happy dad. And when I spoke to him, I couldn't wait for the baby to come, right? And the biggest difference was just in what they looked at. It starts mental, but then the emotion that comes from it, like nobody cares about that. But that comes from it, the vibes that go out, Hugely important. Okay. And so how can we shift this? So I guess like the first question is okay, why are we in gap thinking so much? Is the answer is very simple. It is because it is a habit. Okay. It is just in the West, how we're kind of brought up. There's even this movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. This is kind of how we're brought up. It's nobody's fault. It is what it is. But we just tend to look at the gap a lot, and it's just habitual thinking. Okay. So if we want to change a habit, what do we need to do? We need to do something every day, ideally, for a while, and it'll start to shift. Okay. So what we can do, there's a couple of examples. I'll go from like the least favorite to my favorite. Okay. So number one, my least favorite would be to have like a little booklet. Okay. Where I would just write down the date. So today is the 14th. I would just literally do that. And then I would write down 3 gains that I had during the day. 3 things that made the day awesome. Now listen, okay, with this. It's important you do it sometime in the evening when you actually had your day. Okay. Now for me, because having like a new habit, no matter how small, like I mean, I just suck at it. Okay. So I had to get like the idiot proof way. The idiot proof way was this. I have this in my office. Then I would take a pen and put it where I have my toothbrush. Do you guys brush your toothbrush before going to bed?
Your teeth.
Yeah. Do you, what did I say? Do you,
Brush your toothbrush.
I guess not. Do you brush your teeth, right? So hopefully the answer is yes. Otherwise, you probably start considering. Anyway, so you brush your teeth, right? Does it require any energy? It's a habit, right? It should. And so what I did, I put that where my toothbrush is. And at that point, I would go and want to brush my teeth before going to bed, right? And I see the thing. And I'm like, oh, right. And I go in the office, I write down my 3 gains, and I go put that back where the toothbrush is, take my toothbrush, brush my teeth, go to bed. Because what happens is, and we do that with the kids all the time, because what happens is that you can still not do it. But at that point, you cannot say, if you got a big ass pen there, you cannot say, "Oh, I forgot." Because a lot of kids, "Oh, I forgot." No, that's yeah, right. It's difficult, but like if they have the reminder and they see it and they clearly know what this is about, or you do, right? You can then make a choice and you can say, "No, today I'm not doing it. I'm done. Like, I just want to go to bed." That's cool. You make a choice against it or for it. Cool either way, right? It's your choices, but every choice has a consequence. But what we find is it puts you in the power, or your kid into the power, because you actually make a choice and you can't say, "Ooh, I forgot." And if you make a choice against it, that's totally cool with me. Right? If that continues happening and stuff, we can help the kids. Otherwise, okay, why is that and stuff? But mostly what we find is because they know the benefit of whatever habit that we're trying to install, they will start to choose, yeah, let me do it more often than not. Right? And it'll be much more likely, much quicker to have a new habit. And then when they have a new habit, we can move on to the next habit, because once it's a habit, you require no more energy and we can install a new one. And after a while, they look very disciplined. But it's just because they have good habits. Okay. So that's just the idiot proof way. Mr. Karasek, I needed this all the time, still do. Works like a charm. It's called habit stacking. It's from Atomic Habits. You just use something that you're already doing anyway. Like coffee in the morning is a great one. If you drink coffee, right? You don't want to, I know how it, coffee in the morning, good. But if you need to get something done, do it before you treat yourself with the coffee. I promise you get it done. It's just an idea. So that would be the first thing in the evening, and just write down 3 gains that you had during the day. Now, one thing that I will say, and this is where I'll show you the next ways in a second where you can guide your children, but it's important that you understand. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. Anyway, can you show your hand if this is useful? If I'm boring, you just, yeah, okay, this is useful. Okay, we're going to continue for a second. When you write these things down, you want to be a little bit specific about it, because I'll give you an example. Okay, are they like kids in your home? Let me check.
Probably.
All right, then I don't have a good example. All right, well, actually I do. So like I used to have, like, when I have meetings and stuff, I would just start to write down, okay, good meeting with my mom, good meeting with my dad, good coffee with my friend Murat and stuff, right? But after a while, This feels more like, ooh, Karasek said I have to write this down, and it feels like a to-do list. But if you find something very specific, then like I give you an example. When we started, and my wife and I, when we got pregnant the second time, we lost a baby in in like the first 2.5 months, and it was really difficult. And like instead of like writing, okay, I had a great meeting or like a coffee chat with my friend Murat, I wrote down it was so amazing that he was there for me and just like gave me a hug and stuff. It meant a lot for me. Something specific, and that made the day worth it. You know what I mean? It's because your mind will start to categorize things, and it's just like, oh yeah, this, but you want to make it a bit specific. Okay, when you have like things about your partner, you can also be instead of like, oh, this was good and stuff, instead of good, just say what was the thing? And maybe you saw some fire in his eyes, or yeah, you were really on the same page and vibing, or like whatever it is, but try to make it a bit specific. The gold is in the specificity. Yeah. So this is my least favorite. The next one would be that before, if you're just using it for yourself, instead of writing, before you actually fall asleep and you have a partner, tell your partner 3 gains that you had, and then let your partner share 3 gains that they had during the day. It creates a very beautiful vibe. Very beautiful. And then my favorite way is that at the dinner table, if you eat with your kids, okay, you could, I guess you could use the car ride and stuff, but like at the dinner table, if they have like sibling, you know, if you have multiple kids and stuff, have everybody at the table share 2 or 3 wins that they had during the day. And you'll be amazed what comes out of that. I've had parents like tell me, you know, like they always ask about school and they always ask how training's going. And all of a sudden, when they start doing that, there's like things coming out. It's like, oh, I never knew. It creates beautiful kind of conversations. And then just listen. Okay. It's a beautiful thing to do. And here's the thing, right? I suggest you do that for 3 weeks on an individual basis. If it takes you 3 minutes to do, you do it for 20 days. That is 60 minutes, right? The worst case that could happen is you lose 60 minutes of your life, and you can say Karasek is full of shit, and I never want to listen to him what he's saying ever again. The best thing that could happen, it changes your life, like it did mine. And I can promise you, when I used to work with adults, after 3 weeks, when I gave them that thing, I could tell with a 90% accuracy whether they were doing it or not. Because it changes the way they look at things, how they speak, just how they are. Okay. And again, you can do it for yourself, which is great. But my favorite way is to like actually do it in the whole family. There's something special so that everybody can get into more game thinking. Everybody can have a bit more of that. Okay. I encourage you as swim parents to like try this out. Be courageous, try something new. Okay. Find a way for you to like implement it, try it for 3 weeks, and then if it doesn't serve you, throw it away. If it does serve you, good. Keep it. Okay. Because I promise you, if you got kids and stuff and they're feeling emotions where they're not feeling good enough, they're insecure and stuff, it is a lot of this. They just, you know, here's like social media and shit. They might not even have their own ideal. It's just
Yeah,
what other
shows
people,
up on their feed.
yeah, whatever's fucking put on their screen, huh? But this is something where they, you know, also this is like, this is crazy because we look at something that's real and we compare it against something that constantly changes. Because like, I don't know if you know, but our dreams and memories and stuff, they all change based on how we feel right now. So if you just like lost somebody important, you're not going to feel very enthusiastic, like very big about your goals, and it changes your memories and stuff. It's fluid, right? And so this thing changes all the time. So we're comparing something that's real against something that constantly changes. That's not very good to measure stuff, right? Every scientist will tell you can't do that. Whereas over here, we're looking at something that is real and we compare it against something that was real and real. And that is actually, that will actually give you a good comparison.
It's tangible.
Tangible. This would be like back in the days when they used to sail the Atlantic Ocean, let's say, right? They used, and they didn't have GPS, they had a compass and they used the stars. So it'd be like them trying to find orientation if the stars constantly changed every night, right? It wouldn't work. But this does. Okay. Cool. Okay, sorry. So let's try to can you oops. Okay, so
Q&A.
so Alex is saying we use this tool. Okay, this is his mom. With Alex already a few months, it works magically. Gratitude and appreciation. Yeah, cool, awesome. Right. And everybody has to find out for him or herself. Yeah. So I'll let everybody yeah, that's the Q&A. Allow participants to unmute themselves. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any question goes, all right? If it's more mental stuff, I'll probably answer. If it's anything else, probably you will answer. Just I guess raise just unmute. Go. Brave, go first. Who's got courage? Wait, does the unmute not work? Wait, oh wait. Allow participants to unmute themselves. Yeah, you should be. Can you yeah, you can.
That should.
Who wants to go? Did I like baffle you with my like little keynote thing? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's very useful. It's very nice. We tried that a couple of times within the family, but it's a good tip with the brush tooth. I like it a lot. Now, thanks a lot for this talk.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you gotta make it David idiot proof. You know, this, you know, I struggle with it a lot, and I'm just kind of sharing what made it bulletproof.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
You know, my daughter, she's a swimmer, and I'm basically listening this course because to teach her and to tell her something what I learned today. But she's 13 years old, and she's practicing swimming 7 years already. So I want to understand by putting the goals for what time frame, because she's in the development phase, because the goals now are not the same like in 1 year from now on or 2 years. So how she can realistically put, or I don't know, what is the time frame to put these goals, and what is the measuring, you know, measuring, understand, you know, always think what you achieved better from the start, then looking at the gap, what you didn't achieve. But what is the realistic time frame for her to measure and to understand how she progressed?
Do you want to answer, Jimmy?
You go ahead.
So like I can tell you what we do. Swimming specific. So like for example, for us adults, my coach takes me through it every 3 months, quarter business kind of stuff, right? What we do with our swimmers is okay. Now it's September. So a really good time frame is until about the Christmas period, until their first short course taper competition, which will be in November or December, usually nationals. And then after that, the next block will just kind of be until, depends on country, it'll be like March, April, or May when they have like the long course kind of trials and stuff, right? And then when you're done with that, I would suggest another block for the end of summer competition, which is usually July or August. So we do about 3, and it's usually like 2 to 4 months.
Also
Okay,
depends
so
on age, right? So like nationals for youth group nationals are usually in the summer. So we'll just do that one block, right? From January to summer, something like that.
So basically now it's a short course season, and now it's a good to set up some goals for the let's say till the December when it's the competition, and then can be the March or April, and when it starts the long course season, then we set up another goals and measure it how we progressed. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good approach.
Thank you.
Yep. Who's next?
Like any question about our program goes, right? Obviously we did, you know, David did this.
Tell me about the swim camp though.
Yeah.
Real quick, because not everybody knows. Just
right.
real quick.
So tell them what we're organizing swim camps.
Yeah.
Obviously next one is going to be December. No, it's New Year's camp. Then we have 2 in August of 2026 already. Yeah. So yeah, swim camps. There's a question there. Sarah or Nina. Just unmute and go ahead.
Sorry, it was muted, yeah. And sorry, I'm sitting outside and it's become dark since we were starting. I'll go back. I mean, you started on the camp, but I wanted to go back to the mindset and the gap and gain question. And it's, can we use this with the fear? Because one of the goals that Sarah put in is, or one of the obstacles is that she's afraid of, you know, what happens if she's not meeting the goal, or what if, you know, that fear in the doubt in the person, right? So how can I help? Can I help her with this gain thinking? What could be the strategy? Because we were discussing it today, right? When putting it down, how would you suggest that we tackle this one on her fear of, you know,
Yeah,
of others, of, you know, the confidence, right?
I hear you. I'll look. I think it's happened to her before, right? Clearly, that's why that she's like afraid, because it actually has happened to her.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. She had
And
a
so-
goal and she didn't achieve it, and now she believes that she will never, right? But
Right,
it was bad day.
right. But she's still here. She's still okay.
Yeah. And she did amazingly in other, right? It was just that one that she didn't, right?
Yeah.
For example, right?
Yeah.
So
Like, look,
I was
when it
thinking in
comes-
this to use the gain one, right?
telling this story, and that goal setting has nothing to do with this. This because like the goal here is this, and here it's that. It's the same thing. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with that. This is what I'm saying. This is not goal setting. This is how you look at the world. It's a way of looking at the things that are happening in your life, and one will give you immense like trouble and a lot of stress, and one will give you immense like happiness. And it's you look at the same thing, but you look at it different.
Mm-hmm.
For goal setting, it's like this. There's two types of goal setters, and one of them isn't better than the other. But what you have to understand is that, and we have a strong preference. You'll get it in a second. But some people, they set goals and they absolutely must achieve the goals, and others otherwise they're devastated. Okay. And then there's the other people who kind of live by the motto, hey, I'm gonna shoot for the stars, and if I land on the moon, if I do make progress, I'm okay with that. Okay? Because and so like my sister, for example, she's the first one, right? And we have like a side business together. If we set some goals for the next 6 months, and then like month 5 rolls around and we're like, oh shit, we're not gonna get there, she starts to become a real bitch for everybody. Right, you're starting to like stress out everybody and stuff, because she know, like in her mind, if we don't accomplish that goal, we're like failures. We let everybody else and ourselves down, and we're like, no, you know, pieces of shit. But like, I give you an example, right? I was doing career coaching in my former life, 6 years, and I had like 2 guys. They were both making 200,000 Swiss francs here in Zurich, and then like the first guy said, okay, I want to make 250,000. Yeah, it's like, okay, cool, we wrote that down. And then the second guy said, because he had another friend who like changed jobs and he made like a lot more money, so he put down 300,000. And we got to work, and pretty much after 2.5 months, we found them their next job, their next dream role, that what we called it. And the first guy who said he wanted to make 250,000, he ended up making 255,000. The second guy who said he wanted to make 300,000, he ended up making 285,000. Right? So the first guy did better than the goal that he had. The second guy did not reach his goal, but in terms of money, if that's the thing that we can compare for this example, which one would you rather be? And so, like, you could be swimming 31 in a 50-meter freestyle, let's say, and then you could set a goal to go 30.5, and you could set a goal to go 28.5, and then you end up going 29.9, right? And so the first girl, she actually did way better than the goal that she set. But the other girl goes, let's say 29.2, right? She did not reach the goal, but she ended up going 29.2. So which one would you rather be?
And by the way, Sarah will learn this during our program anyways, right? She's fairly new in the program, so you know, we'll teach that anyways. So.
Absolutely. No, we were just thinking, right, how to you know, or reduce this in a sense of, you know, doing the gain thinking.
No, but it's not goal. This is not goal set. It's not the same.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool.
Setting so small goals, it's just, it doesn't make like that much sense, because you can just keep going what you are doing right now, do a little more, or keep going, and you will probably get there. But if you set a goal that is big and kind of scary, right, as Jordan was saying, then it forces you to make different choices, because like, shit, the way I'm doing it right now, I'm not going to get there.
Yeah.
Probably true.
Yeah, I love that quote. I send it in text to her. I think that one is great.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. I'm gonna get off now to get others. asking.
1.7, right?
Isles, parents travel with swimmers to the camps. Sometimes I would say it's about 50-50. So usually we have parents who drop off the athletes at the hotel, and we have parents who, kind of stay nearby. We even have swimmers who stay with their parents. Yeah, so I guess it's kind of a personal preference. Does that answer the question? I hope.
Hey guys, for the camps, like why I'm saying like talk about the camps, because we got the early bird, like usually it's 3,490 Swiss francs, includes everything except the flights. And right now we got the early bird special that is only 2,990. So it's like 500 off. So that's until September 17th, right?
17th.
That's why we're
Okay.
like take advantage of it. If you want to come, if you need like more time, we can give you more time, a couple days more, but then you just have to let us know, right? Just get in touch if you have more questions about the camps. We're like, I mean, the online training. I mean, it's just like we're 10 days together, and those who've been like they know. Yeah, it is like for us and for them, like it's an experience of a lifetime. And
Yeah, the cool thing about the camp is we can teach full circle everything that we know, right? So whether it's water trainings, which obviously we do, which includes technique, the way how to attack races, the way how to train more efficiently, all our mental stuff, or not all of it. Obviously, we can't cover all of it, but we can cover a big part of it when it comes to mindsets for competition and training. Then, there's our mobility stuff, which is very, very important for any aspect in swimming. So underwaters, turns, starts, obviously, but also, how to fix your elbow correctly in order to have that high elbow catch. And yeah, so our camp is very I think we're super excited about camps because for the first time we can actually combine all of our knowledge into like one kind of course, I want to say 10 days, and give all of that knowledge
Hard.
yeah
hard course
yeah, it's hard. It's hard work.
for everyone. I mean, harder for the swimmers, I guess. But yeah,
I don't know.
we get to yell at them and stuff. It's good, man.
At least the swimmers are in the water. We're
Yeah.
like in the sun. So, Wild, do you have a question?
All right, let's take one more. Wild, let's take one more, and then we're gonna go call it a day. Wild.
Hi. I would like to ask you as a coach. I know you have been coaching. I would like to listen more about the period 13 years old. How you guide your swimmers to long distance, middle distance or sprinter without the DNA test, without the test DNA, and how you plan for them which do you swim? My son is 13 years old, and we swim the IM, the four swims, 200, all of them. But some coaches here saying that we should be specialized in one or two races, and we should focus on them. When you take your swimmers to this focus on one or two races from 13 years old, you should do this or wait until 16 years old. How you also pick up your guys for middle distance and long distance? Is it by your experience, or you must ask for DNA test, or how you do this? Thank you very much.
So, can I take this one?
Yeah, interesting question.
So there's multiple ways on how to judge what a athlete should be swimming or can swim. Number one is personal preference. Like if an athlete doesn't like to swim 50 meters, then most likely he shouldn't be swimming 50 meters because it's something that you need to train hard. The same thing for 1500, right? Something that you need to train hard. You need to be there, focused for that, and right. Number two is it's pretty obvious if somebody has sprint muscles or twitchy muscles like fast muscles or like long muscle fibers. Somebody with long muscle fibers cannot train 50 meters. Somebody who trains 50 meters or 100 will die after 2 trainings for 1500s. So, this is just something that very intuitively
Intuitively.
right? A swimmer will know and the coach will know. That's for sure. And then part three of your question was kind of, should a 15-year-old be focused on one race? In my opinion, yes, he can, but should he if he doesn't want to? No. Like if he wants to try out everything there is in the book, like all 16 races, then do it. Right? Right? You don't have
Yeah,
to
I mean, sometimes in the Middle East they got like weird, like kind of like DNA tests and all that. I mean, like what? And like,
Bullshit.
what do you care what other coaches say down there? Like, you guys don't have like really. I mean, I say this with a lot of love, but there's not a lot of good swimmers coming from the Middle East, so a lot of them just talk shit and actually don't know what's going on, And
we
then
have
you know what I
we
mean? I
have
know
the
your
best.
son is really good, so just have him swim IM. He seems to like it.
Yes, we have
Right,
the
go
best
for it. You're doing the
swimmers.
right thing.
We have the best long distance swimmer in the world.
Dude,
Don't forget
Like, look, I'll
Tunisia.
tell you this, dude. Like, the worst thing that you can put in his mind is when you don't know, when you don't know, like, what's the best for him, and then you like start to look for like for other like expert knowledge, and like, oh, but this expert said, okay, this is it, but you don't know, and he will feel that, and he'll feel the doubt. And so if he wants to roll with IM and he loves doing that for right now, just support him all the way with that, and that's what you want to do. He has so much time, dude. But don't doubt like what people say, DNA tests and all that shit. Like Michael Phelps didn't take a DNA test. You know what I mean?
But the last thing, I'm sorry about this. How also a swimmer, you have experience in this. How a swimmer can swim 100 as a sprinter and then go to 400 IM as endurance, and after this 1,500, do you have in Europe, in your country, categories? This swimmer is sprinter, so he should continue all his life. We have in Ukraine a one swimmer. He was all his life 400 meters, 1,500 meters, and then when he's 20, he changed to 50 meters, and now he's a champion of the world in 50 meters.
Yeah.
How you measure this? How you calculate this?
You don't
How one
measure.
is
Oh.
It's not something that is measured. That is the swimmer deciding, okay, I want to go into sprints. And just FYI, that is not rare. That is super rare. Like that happening, somebody who you don't see like a Macintosh right now. You don't see that often. That a swimmer can swim 100, a 200, 400, 800, and 1500. That's that's 1 in a million maybe. But obviously, yeah, you can have a swimmer who trained, 400s and 1500s all his life, and then all of a sudden he gets into a sprint training for the first time in his life because the coach saw that he can actually sprint, and all of a sudden, he's faster in the 50 and the 100 than he's getting more points in the 50 and the 100 than he's ever done in a 400. But then again, to me, that is old school coaching because they don't really analyze what their swimmer needs in the water.
Yeah.
But there's no DNA test for them.
Yeah. And dude, your kid is awesome. So just let him like swim the 200, 400s, all of it.
Which,
He's
by the
awesome.
way, 200
and
IM is a very specific race. So
by the way, I listened to your advice also when you said to me he should make a progress in the breaststroke. Now we have a better result in the IM and the 400 IM also. We
Good.
get a better result, and he's still a child. He didn't grow up yet. Maybe one time we will see him and see you in Europe Junior soon.
But that's great. It's good. So guys, I just want
Thank
to
you.
like now
Right.
we're gonna go now. We're gonna go.
let's take that.
We'll take Maya and then we're gonna go. But please keep it like something not like like too specific, right? That everybody can kind of benefit from it.
Hello guys, can I talk now? Alright, so we're watching you guys from Pakistan, and yeah, I know.
Nice.
So my daughter is 12 years old, and she's like, we don't have a coach here, right? We live in Islamabad, and she's swimming in nationals. This year is going to be her second nationals. She swam under 14. And she's basically swimming 2,000 kilometers every day, and she's self-coaching. So what sort of advice you can give her. She can listen to you. She's sitting with me. Because, we just cannot go for camps at the moment, and we might plan something in the future if we have, resources, but not right now. So is there any advice you can give her? Because she's listening and she's training herself. So, sit here, yeah. Yeah, she's 12 and she's going to turn 13 in December. And she, like, her speed is like 37 seconds, 50-meter freestyle, right?
Text us after.
You got 27 in a 53?
No, 37
I
seconds.
was just gonna say that.
She's self-training,
Okay.
no one's coaching her.
Text us after the call. We'll figure something out.
Oh, all right, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
It is difficult without a coach, though.
Very.
thank you.
But we can always figure something out as sending you like tips and tricks and training specific stuff. So.
Yeah, because we don't have coaches here. We don't have this facility here. But she's swimming really good, and I think she's at a stage when you swim for therapy. So she swims on her own. Nobody is on her head. So
Good mindset. Okay, we'll send you. Well,
Can I just say quickly?
Yeah.
Can I just say, Emma's mum, she's so positive on the back of the swim camp. We've had 2 competitions this weekend. She's dropped 2.5 seconds on a 100-meter free. She is 0.08 off of breaking the 1 minute, and it's all thanks to you guys, and we just love you, and she's so excited and so positive, and it's just brilliant. Thank you.
Love it. We love it.
You got it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, Emma's great. It's so easy to train with her.
No, she's doing amazingly, and her attitude towards, she's doing mobility before she goes to training. She's concentrating on her nutrition, just everything. She has taken on board everything that you said, and she is flying. It's just brilliant.
Super happy to hear.
Thank you.
Glad to hear.
Okay.
Looking forward to seeing her next year. Cap.
Yeah, we come in. We'll be there.
I'm also not surprised because we saw her how she works and the mindset that she has. So I'm not surprised, but obviously it's good to hear. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Okay.
Guys, we're gonna
Thank
go
you.
now. We're gonna have a beer. All right. Sunday evening, right? So we're gonna have beer. Hopefully none of the kids heard that. So okay, we'll see you guys soon. I'm with 37.
Cool.
Hey, we see you soon. Hey, we're gonna do one of these trainings like once a month. So next time, I don't need to deliver anything else. That was a gap and gain. That's like the thing we want you parents to implement at home because it's like the biggest thing. There will be a recording. We'll put it on YouTube and stuff, and then we'll see you in a month or so. Yeah.